and welcome to the Next in Line podcast, where we are helping to prepare you for whatever is next in line. As always, I'm your host, Chance Pitts, joined today with co-host, Mr. Billy Pitts, my dad.
Hello, how are you doing?
It's awesome to have him back in. We'll be back in his office studio up here.
Well, it's awesome to be here.
Yes, sir. Coming off the heels of a 12-mile run today on Christmas Day, a recovery run. You had a 27-mile run yesterday, so just playing a little catch-up, keeping the legs fresh today more than anything.
Sure enough, 27 yesterday. That was pretty tough, but 12 miles, just a little recovery run today, so yeah. Not bad.
Getting really, really close to Rocky Raccoon, your first 100-mile race coming up, so that's exciting.
Getting close is exciting, and it's exciting, and I'm just hoping everything comes together, but the distances and everything's been looking real good lately. Been feeling real good about where it's going, so.
That's good. No, that's really good to hear. And I'm seeing the runs that you're putting out on social media, posting them on Garmin, all that good stuff. So it looks really promising. I'm excited to see what you can do. It's going to be cool to be out there and be a part of that and pace you and all that good stuff. Before we get into the weeds of the podcast, guys, of course, we have the housekeeping. If you receive value from this episode or any other episode of the podcast, we would ask that you share the show with like-minded individuals who could receive that same kind of value. That's going to be the number one way for us to grow the movement in this podcast and to reach more people and to help more people as a whole. Now, another way you can do that, guys, is by interacting with us on whatever platform you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can comment, subscribe, leave a rating or review, whatever your platform allows. And that's going to help us pop up a little bit earlier in the search bar when people look for personal development and self-help type podcasts. Also, follow us on social media to keep up with all the crazy stuff like 100-mile races that we're doing and taking on, and just the daily motivational content and fun stuff and some workout content as well. That's at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But now that we've got that out of the way, had a couple things we've been meaning to talk about for a little while on here. We had a lot of stuff go out about the Colorado trip that we took around Thanksgiving almost a month ago now.
Yeah, about a month ago.
And the reason we haven't put anything out just yet is because, to be blatantly honest with you guys, nothing went to plan.
Nothing at all, except for him picking me up at the airport and us driving back. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. We, to start off the day before, I think I had 101-degree fever. So I was sick from the start. I had some kind of stomach bug too incorporated with that. It felt kind of flu-like, but decided to keep the trip on. Drove to Colorado anyway. Made pretty good time getting up there. Stayed the first night in the hotel. Just kind of relaxed, and then went to go pick you up at the airport first thing the next morning.
Yep, sure did. And drove out to our first campsite, and didn't go to plan either.
No, they ended up, even though it wasn't posted, that campsite ended up being shut down for the season as well. There was no parking on the road close to the hot spring that we were planning on going to, so it would have been about a 4 or 5 mile hike in. Weather was pretty crazy up there a little bit too, getting cold. So
that on top of you not feeling 100%, so it was not. We opted for Plan B. Went to go stay out at the Twin Lakes Park out there. It's a kind of open campground near Leadville, Colorado. Yep.
So instead of Kremling, we drove down an hour and a half or so to the Leadville area and went down there to go do some camping. Found an awesome camping spot. We had some of that on our social media page that y'all might have seen, but also, if you hear some barking or some whining or some jingling of collar, Jack is up here in the office with us. He's got a little perch in front of the window, and he's getting a little rowdy right now. But
he's being a guard dog for us.
That's right, holding it down. But we went out there, found a beautiful campsite, found some firewood, got a fire going, cooked some dinner. There was snow on the ground. We got everything prepped up, and we got the tent set up, got sleeping bags put together, everything like that. And it ended up being, I don't know, it was probably about 20 degrees when we started out there.
Yep.
And quickly as it got into the night, got very cold on us.
The sun went down at 4:45 p.m.
That is true, yeah. Something we were not prepared for or used to, is that sun going down that early in Colorado. And then as we got into the night, you actually did pretty good in your sleeping bag that you were in.
I had a nice setup. I had a nice sleeping bag that pretty much temperature. Once I got in there and stabilized, I was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, you were good to go in the tent. However, me being sick, I was bundled up. I had layers on. I had a sleeping bag, a liner for the sleeping bag, all that good stuff. And under normal circumstances, we probably would have been just fine, even though it got down to about 10 degrees and there was ice forming in the tent and all that good stuff. But I just couldn't stay warm, couldn't keep up being sick. So I think about 1 in the morning or so.
Somewhere in there, we left out, found a hotel there in Leadville, and actually stayed the night there in Leadville. Let you kind of get your body warmed up and get things feeling better, and spent the next morning, really, the big chunk of the morning with you recovering from that. So
yeah, even by the time we got over there about 2 a.m., it still took me 3 or 4 hours to get warm and back up to speed, and feeling a little bit better. But yeah, I was drained and had a really rough time, and a pretty rough road to recovery the next day, and it hindered us from doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
But we got to kick around Leadville a little bit.
We did. Kick around at 10,152 feet or something like that.
Yeah, the whole town's over 10,000 feet, so really cool. That's where we actually planned originally to go up there to Leadville and climb Mount Elbert, which we'll get to that part of the story here in just a little bit. But some other cool things happened while we were up there. Got to run around, got to see some of the sights, the stores there as well. And while we were eating, do you want to tell a story about a pretty cool scenario that happened there?
Oh, we were sitting there. We just ordered, and I look over to the right, and I see a group of people, and I do a double take, and I was like, "Hey, Chance, is that Courtney Dewalter?"
And for those of y'all that don't know, Courtney Dewalter is probably the best female ultra runner, and probably hands down the best 200+ mile ultra runner out there right now in the world. So
yeah.
We kind of nerded out for a minute, fangirled a little bit, and but yeah, it turned out to be her. She lives up there in the Leadville area, so it was really cool to see her. And you actually got to sneak over and go talk to her for a little bit.
I did. I kind of, got over there and got a selfie with her, actually.
There you go. So that was really cool, and it was an awesome, pretty good highlight of the trip, actually.
It was a cool experience to get to see somebody that's so successful like that, and what you're trying to dabble into, and to meet them just out of the blue, not even planning anything like that. And they're just as nice as they can be. She was there with her full family and having a family get together, and she took a moment to do a selfie with me, and I really appreciate it. It was awesome. Really inspiring person to be around.
Absolutely. If you haven't seen anything on her, make sure you look her up. She was on the Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan's podcast, and it was a really cool story. It told a lot about how she got into ultra running, what she's done, and just really entertaining show as well. But it was pretty cool for us to get to see her and you to go meet her and say hi. I stayed away, kept my distance, because obviously I was a little bit under the weather. No reason to get anybody else sick.
Right.
But after that, we kind of bounced back and recovered, and woke up went back to the hotel and just chilled out and closed out the day. But I woke up the next day feeling pretty good. Oh, actually, did we go to the Airbnb after that?
We did.
Okay, we went to the Airbnb at Twin Lakes instead of Leadville. Yeah. And that's where we closed out the day. Hung out there, watched a little Netflix, and hung out and relaxed a little bit. I was still getting back on my feet a touch, but we had one day left at that point in Colorado.
Right.
So, like I said, didn't really go to plan. Not a whole lot of great things going on as far as progress and preparation's sake. We planned for pretty active and pretty crazy time out there, but
no, we did. But we just kind of roll with it, and whatever happens, and we kind of just made the best of the situation at the time. You can't control all the factors, even though you try to eliminate everything that can go awry from your plans, but things just happen and you got to go with it. So we still made a good positive trip out of the thing. We had a great time.
What's that famous, is it Mike Tyson quote, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face?
There you go. So, we took a couple of punches on that trip.
Yeah, but we woke up the next morning from the Airbnb, is kind of where I was before I got sidetracked and lost on the story a little bit. Woke up at the Airbnb feeling pretty good the next day, and decided we were really close to Mount Elbert in the trailhead there, so we decided to try to give it a go, and started off on this little bitty back road out there leading up to the trailhead. They got pretty sketchy, and we pulled off about halfway up or so, about a mile and a half from the trailhead. Just didn't feel like risking the Tacoma up there since we had a 13-and-a-half-hour drive back to Texas that afternoon. So we decided to hike up and climb Mount Elbert, and kind of in step with the rest of the trip, that didn't exactly go to plan either.
No, it didn't. I think first thing out of the box is we took a wrong turn, got off on a different trail for a little bit.
We did.
And then we finally got back to the trailhead and then headed up the mountain. And me being a flatlander, I put on like a bunch of layers of clothes, and I don't know what I was thinking.
We both did. We layered up pretty heavy. Of course, I did because I was sick a little bit more, and probably it hit me as well. But you were really layered up, and it ended up taking a little bit of a toll on us going up the mountain.
It did. I think I was preparing for a blizzard, and I should have just had a couple layers on and threw some layers in my backpack, but I was sweating so much, and then being cold, I didn't even realize I was sweating that much. It was coming through all like, I don't know, probably 4 layers and a hoodie and the outer jacket.
Yeah, we're blowing through water pretty good because of that, obviously, too. So about halfway up, between 11,000 and 12,000 feet.
Yeah.
Decided to throw in the towel on it and come back.
Well, you realized how much I was sweating out because I didn't even realize it because it was coming through all the layers.
Yeah.
And you were like, we better backtrack and take another shot at this later. So.
Yeah, so we figured that we would, if we continued, probably get ourselves in a pretty bad bind.
Probably so. So
it was a great learning experience, at least.
It was. Like I said, nothing went to plan, but hey, it just makes me hungry to go back because I want to check it out. I want to do it next time. I want to see how many peaks we can try to get up with some of those 14,000 footers.
Absolutely.
So yeah. I definitely want to go back and try it again. It was beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah, it was.
But, like I said, plans just, didn't go to plan, so.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a bad call going up there that time of year either. A lot of people questioned that whenever we went, and understandably, but it really wasn't that bad had everything gone more to plan or somewhat to plan.
No, it wasn't. We weren't the only ones on that trail that day either.
No, there
were several other people there. And the weather was it was perfect, really.
Yeah, genuinely.
Really we were going to try to make it up and back down before a cold front was going to blow in that afternoon. So it would have been fine except for, the poor planning on my part on that for sure. But it was a learning experience for sure.
It was, and we made it through it without nobody dying or getting too hurt or anything like that or sick. So,
well, the cold here is way different than it is in Colorado. That's for sure.
It is, and we're experiencing that this week. Of course, as we shoot this on Christmas, it's been 10, 15 degrees out here.
Oh, it's been pretty cold. I think I started my run. I waited till it got to 27 before I started yesterday.
Yeah, on the long run.
On the long run, yeah.
Yeah, and today I think we were at 45 degrees, probably ended somewhere in the 30s by the time we got to the end of it and it cooled down on us.
Pretty comfortable, really. It felt pretty nice.
It was good, but yeah, it's a totally different kind of cold up there. It doesn't have the bite that it does down here whenever it gets that cold. So it was good. It was a learning experience. Of course, when we got back down Elbert, stripped off the wet clothes and crap, changed, and hopped in the truck and started the 13-and-a-half-hour trek back to make sure that we were back in Texas by Thanksgiving and didn't get ourselves in trouble with anybody down here.
Oh, yeah. If you want to see any pics, just hit us up, message us, DM us, whatever. We can hook you up with some pictures from that trip. It was pretty awesome. We did see a lot of beautiful places and definitely want to go back and check out that town and check out that mountain again.
Absolutely. And we've got, I think there was 58 peaks up there that are over 14,000 feet or something.
Something like that, yeah. It's crazy.
We'd like to plan like a 5-day or a week-long trip and just go see how many of those we can take out and how many we can summit, either whether that's during that same time of year or during a more favorable time in the summer or something. But with that being said, I know there's a few people out there that showed some interest in that too. So if you are interested in that, by all means, shoot us a message or let us know. Maybe we can make that some part of the trip, or do a little bit of a travel group up there. That'd be pretty cool.
I envision like having a group going out there and doing it, having a base camp with some people that stay at the base camp, and we just kind of keep in touch and take care of each other and just have a great time.
I think that'd be a really, really cool thing, honestly. And
take the guitars up there, do a little, sitting around the fire and all kind of stuff. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, that Twin Lakes campsite that we found and ended up camping at that night would have been phenomenal with some fair weather. So.
Oh yeah.
And not being sick, of course, but
that too.
But yeah, that in a nutshell, we made it back to Texas without a hitch. I think we grabbed Chick-fil-A when we got across the Texas border up there.
We did.
Jetted back down here and made it in time to have the Thanksgiving wrestling match.
Oh yeah.
And got through that and survived, even though I was still a little bit under the weather. And yeah, that was the Colorado trip in a nutshell. Very, very fun, very beautiful. Saw a lot of cool things, learned a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. Definitely want to do it again. And I was concerned about the time of the year we went, but really it wasn't that bad. It was really nice. And nice people. A lot of nice folks up there.
A lot of great people,
really
yeah,
impressed.
For sure.
So, yeah.
And so now that we've got the Colorado trip recapped, there was another topic that we really both talked about a little bit today on the run, but then just thought about, as a lot of people this time of year are gearing up for the new year. They've got that quote-unquote new year, new me kind of mentality going on, and probably looking at some of the New Year's resolutions that are out there. And I know you and I both kind of have the same mindset about New Year's resolutions. Not that it's bad. We think that it's a great thing to make progress and a great thing to make the decision to try to get healthier or to do less of the things you don't need to do and more of the things that you do need to do.
Absolutely. We're
very, very supportive of that. But we also both think that you shouldn't wait for a specific time or the conditions to be perfect or the New Year's resolution to make this decision to get better. You shouldn't have to go through the holidays and, I'm going to eat bad on Christmas and on New Year's and Thanksgiving, so I want to wait till after all that. We kind of both have the mindset, I think, that you should attack those things and just decide to do it and go, right?
You should. You really should just go right at it. And then, if you wait for the time to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect. It's that way for so many things. Just do it. Just give it a shot and see what you can come up with. I mean, just go attack it and do it.
That's exactly right. And that's really the theme of what we're talking about. And because we are at the end of the year and because there is the opportunity for the New Year's resolution, we figured we'd talk a little bit to y'all about some of those things. For context, if you're just joining us or if you're new to this or don't know who we are or what we do, I lost about 65 pounds. A couple, I guess it's creeping up on 2 years ago almost now. Went from being very inactive, being a heavy drinker, being very just caught up in my career, being the only place that progress seemed to matter in my life. Completely changed my outlook, changed my physical fitness. I started running ultra marathons. I've done 250Ks, a marathon, a 100K, and a 100-mile race now. So I, as a person, have definitely decided to change my life for the better. Kind of like what a lot of people are probably looking to do in this New Year's resolution. And I don't know if you want to tell them a little bit about your resume for being able to talk about this as well.
Just, several years ago, I just kind of was tired of feeling bad. I was overweight. I was 60 pounds heavier and just no energy, no focus, no mental focus, just no anything, no desire to do anything. And the health was going downhill. About to get on medication, about to start taking all of these things for high blood pressure and on and on and on. And so I decided to do something about it. And a good friend got me into the gym and started me on a workout program. And it was just one day on a whim. We got to talking and we just decided we were going to do it. And it got me over the hump and got me into lifting, and I became addicted to lifting. Really love it. And then this guy got me into ultra running. And so it's been cool to watch myself transform from, being overweight, sluggish, and just didn't feel like doing anything to a whole new high energy level, lifting weights, seeing my body change, being more muscular, losing that gut and everything. And then now my body's changing again as I'm getting ready for this 100-mile race I got coming up. And your body's an amazing thing. If you'll give it the things it needs to do what you want it to do, it'll do it. It's amazing. You don't need all of this added things. Just if you want to lean out and change your diet, work out. It's an engine. It's a functioning thing, and you can help it get where you want it to be by just taking the steps to get there, by working out, by changing your diet, changing the things you do, and it'll get there. So that's how it's been for me, and it's amazing to sit there and watch the changes and to see tweaks that you make in what you're doing as your workout routine, and then see your results happening as your body starts to shift into what you're doing. Now, for me, it's running right now, so it's pretty cool to see.
It is really cool to see, and it's been really cool to see that part of your journey. And there's the other side to it, too. We don't want to make it seem like it's all just unicorns, rainbows, and flowers. I mean, There's been a lot of trial and error through this, too. We've been in somebody that we've been people that have been able to be very successful in this front as well, but we've also had diets that didn't work out, and we ended up right back where we started. We've tried to go out and start lifting weights or running or getting more physically active, and things just went right back to where they were and not been able to make progress. We've also had slip-ups along the way whenever we've been into this for a long time. It's a chore to stay disciplined, but it's something that's very worthwhile whenever you get into it. So we're definitely not just sugarcoating this and saying it's going to be an easy process, or that, hey, look at us, we've been able to achieve some awesome things. No, this is genuinely a challenging and hard thing to do, and that's why we figured we'd come today and point out a few things that people tend to struggle with in their New Year's resolutions, and really kind of give y'all our opinion on it and strategies for how you can combat that. So that's what we're sitting here to do. I think you asked earlier, and I looked it up. Most New Year's resolutions out there, I think under some research, I don't know how accurate it is, but it has a 16% success rate for New Year's resolution. That means if 100 people started, 84 of them are going to fail, and only 16 of those are going to complete it.
And we're no means telling anyone not to get started on anything on New Year's. That's not what we're saying here at all.
Exactly, yeah. We want this to be a positive conversation about progress, not something where you become intimidated or kind of, I don't know, maybe a little disheartened about starting that process. And at any point, if you have any questions about any of these things, reach out to us. We're happy to help. We got the Westphalia Fitness Center up here, of course, that Dad's working on. And he's in the middle of this prep for his 100-mile race. And I'm always doing something wild and crazy and always happy to help too. So don't hesitate to shoot us a DM.
Well, what's worked for you whenever you got into it? I mean, I know it wasn't smooth sailing. It wasn't for either one of us. But what worked for you as far as making it sustainable? Yeah.
So for about, I guess just over 2 years ago was the first time I really tried to get into shape, right around the time that Lane and I were going to get married. And I had tried to get back into it a few times before that, but that was really the first time that I genuinely wanted to make a change, right? I wanted to look a little bit better on wedding day. I wanted to lose some of the weight, get back to being the person that I used to be in a lot of ways. And one of the first points that I have actually written down ties directly into that. I never truly came up with a specific plan for what I wanted, or any metrics of what I was going to measure it against, or even a plan of how to get there. So the biggest thing for me was coming up with my true goal and being specific with it. I wanted to lose weight, and I wanted to get down to 180 pounds. Currently, at that time, I weighed 235 pounds. So that was a pretty huge goal to try to take on, especially on a pretty short time slot for that time. And I'll be honest, I failed at it. I went to the gym when I felt like getting up in the morning. the motivation was kind of fleeting. Started out really strong, going probably 5 days a week, and doing some running as well. And then I didn't have a plan. I just run or lift whenever I wanted to. And I fell off the bandwagon because I started waking up in the morning and not feeling like going. And then along with that, I decided that I wanted to lose about 50 pounds, but I had no game plan for how I was going to do that either, because I figured that even though I drank a lot, even though I ate like crap, as long as I got in the gym, it was going to be okay, right? I was going to be able to go work out, eat all these things I wanted to eat, and it didn't matter if I was eating fried chicken as long as I was doing some bench press or running some miles. We're going to be okay, right?
Most people cannot outwork a bad diet.
That is extremely true, unless you're running
a few
27 miles, right?
Well, there's a few exceptions to any rule, but
For
the
sure.
majority of people, me and you, just standard. I mean, you cannot outrun a bad diet.
No, if I do what I am doing now, training plan wise, and I just keep eating like I used to eat and drinking like I used to drink, I will gain all the weight back. And same with you, right?
Oh, absolutely. I found that out the hard way, really. But you can't out a bad diet or bad habits. Either of those things, you have to kind of correct those things. You're going to see some progress if you start running. You're going to see some progress if you start lifting weights. But you're only going to see so much, and it's going to plateau out until you get the diet right. Until you get your diet is your fuel intake. It's like putting premium gas into your engine or pouring water in there with some crappy gas and expecting it to perform, like it should. It's not going to.
It's not. No, you're exactly right. And we talked about the specific goals and the metrics and the plan, and I had to start planning my diet. I had to start planning my workout, and that's when things started to flourish. And being able to stick to the plan and have a roadmap to try to get to where I'm going really helped me initially. But what's probably the biggest factor that helped you with sticking to your decision to make a change?
Well, I think the routine, sticking to a plan, having a plan, even when you don't win it. For a while there, I was like getting up 4 a.m. and working out there like clockwork, 5 days a week at least, and then working out on Saturdays, get up a little later. But even when I didn't want to get up, I may be dog tired, work went late, I didn't get to bed till midnight, whatever it was, I made myself get up, because almost every single time when I went ahead and did that workout, afterwards I felt great.
Yes.
And when you do that, especially that early morning workout, when you do that early morning workout and then you read or whatever you want to do, by 6 or 7 a.m., you've already had your breakfast. You feel like you've accomplished a lot and nobody else has even gotten up yet. But it sets your day on a positive path and it just keeps rolling. So, I mean, that was really the most fun I had in that time. And when I locked in a routine, that's what made it sustainable. And the other thing is, you got to do it because you want to. Some people say, well, but he's a selfish, whatever. He's selfish, they're focused on themselves. They don't think about it. Well, you kind of have to be, because you have to want to fix yourself and you have to want to do it for you. That's where it's got to start. You have to start there and then get a routine. Those two things will set you on the right path, and then you can start working on what your routine is, what your diet plan is, all of those things. But you gotta do it for you, and you gotta do a routine. You gotta get something set in stone, not going when you feel like it, and that kind of stuff. And you will see change. You got to realize it's a marathon. It's not a sprint,
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And that's actually something I've gotten written down here as number 3 it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's a fantastic point, because you didn't lose all that weight overnight, right?
No.
You didn't change your habits overnight. You didn't start being able to rep out 225 in the gym overnight.
No, it wasn't overnight. And like I say, I thought I could outlift, and I just do more reps. That way I don't have to stop eating fried chicken and hamburgers and fries. And you can't do that, or I couldn't do that anyway.
For sure.
So I went from like 250 to 225 in a plateau, and I couldn't lose any more weight. And I was like, what's going on? And my buddy, who's been working out for years and years, he's like, fix your diet. And so I got some advice from him. I fixed my diet. I just ate cleaner, and the weight started falling off again. And it was amazing. So
something you said there is really important too. You just ate cleaner. It's not a total all out, like, iron fist, can't enjoy anything in life. No, you make healthier decisions. Whenever you go out to eat, instead of ordering something with fried food, order grilled chicken, order some kind of grilled fish or seafood or something like that. That's a little bit healthier, cleaner source of protein, doesn't have all the fat and the carbs and crap. And then get you some kind of complex carb that is good for you. Look for sweet potatoes. Look for, even potatoes can be good for you too if you do them right without all the crap in them.
Right.
Rice, vegetables are always great. And just things like that, healthy alternatives to ordering the fried fish with fries and hush puppies and all that stuff that's really, you shouldn't be eating if you're trying to make progress and lose weight.
Right. There's the thing too, there's a ton of items out there, whether it's at the grocery store or whether it's at a restaurant. There's always a healthier list of stuff on the menu you can eat now in most every restaurant you go to.
Agreed.
And so you can always pick the healthier item on a menu and eat that. If you do that consistently, overall, you'll come out way ahead. Go to the grocery store, you pick the good stuff. Start, things that your engine's going to be able to process a lot easier and burn, and efficiently and that kind of thing. That's what you want to look for. Eat the grilled stuff. Don't eat the fried stuff. Just stay away from sugars, things like that. There's little twists you can make in your daily diet that'll go a long way. I never had success locking into a particular diet plan that you hear people talking about. I never was successful at that, and I never was happy with the results I got out of that. And it wasn't sustainable.
That was one thing I figured out really heavily was the lack of sustainability in those fad diets. I've done paleo, I've done keto, I've done low carb, a bunch of other diets like that. I've done counting calories to the point of starving myself pretty much. And what happened was, if you go back and look at my Instagram or anything like that, or the Next in Line Development Instagram, you'll see that at the end of that 75 hard that I did that really jump-started that process for me, I was scrawny. I was like at an unhealthy point. I was much healthier than being a big chubby guy anymore, but I didn't have much muscle on me. I had lost a ton of weight, and a lot of people asked if I was sick, and at the time I didn't understand why they were asking that, but I was doing something completely unsustainable with my diet, with those fad things. I wasn't finding a point of sustainability and balance and eating things that were good for me and served me in a way that would put me to a point where I could still gain muscle and I could live a healthy and functional kind of life, right?
And you're hearing this from a guy that liked eating cheeseburgers or hot dogs growing up.
Chicken strips, dude. Don't forget the chicken strips and macaroni, mashed potatoes. Yeah.
If it was anything healthy, he probably wasn't going to eat it back then.
Exactly right. And my outlook has completely changed in life. And it comes along with this mindset and this approach that you got to have with these changes you're wanting to make. And you mentioned something too about going to the grocery store, and I wanted to throw in a little bit, sprinkle something in right there.
Yeah.
If you're going to make these changes, one of the biggest things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to change your environment. So you're going to have to not bring home the things that you were going to be apt to overindulge in, right? You can't have ice cream and ding-dongs and oatmeal cream pies in the pantry and expect yourself not to eat them, because if they're there, I'm going to eat them. And that's why they don't come into the house, right?
Bingo.
And that's just part of it, guys. And same thing with people. You can't surround yourself with people that constantly make bad decisions for their health and bad decisions for just life in general.
Just life in general, yeah.
And expect yourself to excel and move in a positive direction. It's very hard to do, because as social creatures, as humans, we give into that peer pressure. And for that reason, I've had to make a ton of changes. I know you've made a ton of changes in your life, and it's something that you're going to have to do within this process. So you've got to be prepared for that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's changes into the diet, changes into people I hang around with, It's kind of, when I go out to play music, it used to be always, I'm going to drink every night. I play music. I don't do that anymore. I may occasionally have a shot or something like that. I'm not going to lie. But for the majority, I don't do that anymore. I used to have something to drink when I went to play music, and I don't have to do that anymore. It was just a conscious decision that I wanted to be healthier, and I didn't want to also have to enjoy music with that influence. I wanted to enjoy music, and anything else you're doing, I wanted to enjoy it, for what it was, and to have a good time without it. So that's just me.
No, that's great. It's a beautiful example of the kind of the mindset shift and the way that whenever you start making some of these changes, they positively impact other areas of your life.
For sure. And that's definitely what that was. It leaks into other, bleeds into other parts of your life, whether you know it or not.
Absolutely. And we talk about a lot of motivational stuff. We post a lot of motivational stuff. But one other thing I wanted to mention while we're here is that motivation is a very loose and unsustainable thing as well. You can be extremely motivated by a David Goggins book or post, or Cam Haines running up and down a mountain on Instagram, or Andy Frisella yelling at you through a microphone. There's so many great avenues for people that get you fired up, get you moving in the right direction. Chad Wright, Nick Bear, all these guys that are phenomenal speakers and great motivators, they'll get you fired up. But whenever you're in the gym and you're on the treadmill, or you're running outside on the streets, or you're dead tired after work and you got to go convince yourself to do 12 sets of 12 reps doing bench, incline, decline, all these other things too. Whenever you're having to go through this process, know that motivation's not always going to be there. It's very fleeting. It's not going to be something that is sustainable. So because of that, you kind of alluded to this earlier, but you've got to find your why, and you've got to do it for yourself.
You do. I mean, and those guys, you got to realize too, and those guys are all phenomenal examples of people doing great things and setting a great example for everyone. But that's all they're going to post too. You got to realize that they're not going to post the dark times or the rough days either. That's sad. They don't want to post that out there. But you were talking earlier, it's tough to find your routine and stay motivated all the time and always stay on high, because it doesn't always work that way. Well, that's life in general. And that's how it's going to be, like you're talking about, when you're out there running or you're in the gym by yourself and you're just not feeling it. It's tough. Those are the days that you push your way through and go ahead and get that workout done. Even if you didn't accomplish, you felt like I didn't get all out of that I could have got out of it. You got more out of that than you would have if you would have just went home that day. And you got to remember that. So even though it could have been better, it's still a positive building block for you. And you have to focus on that and realize that you're still moving the right direction. You're still going the right way with it. And so staying motivated is like I say, it is difficult to do at times, because life is difficult.
It is.
So things are going to pop up. This week, the water heater went out in the house, and the water heater is bigger than the doorway to get the water heater out. So I had to tear the door out. I was like, man, come on now. So, I mean, who would have thought, while you're getting ready for Christmas, families coming in and everything, and I was like, oh, the water heater's out. There's water on the floor. What? So, I mean, life is going to throw you curveballs, but it's just, how are you going to react to those curveballs, and what are you going to do, And a lot of times, like I say, a lot of times going to the gym, whatever, even doing my runs, I don't feel like it today, but I'll go out there and I'll get to working out, because working out to me is also meditation time. So it gives me time to clear my mind, get away from my problems I got going on. So just be aware of those things as you're getting into it. If you're just starting up with a program, you're going to be sore. It's going to happen. And you make it through those stages, and then you're going to have life, throw curveballs at you. Kids are going to have things going on. You're going to have obligations, and, you might have to go and hit the gym at an odd hour or a nighttime, hour or something, someplace where, you didn't think you were going to have to do your routine or get your workout in. But if you do those things, though, you're going to feel so much better for doing it. And it's going to get you more and more engraved into a process, into a solid plan that you can follow if you'll do that and make yourself do it. It'll make you, like I say, it'll bleed into other areas too.
It will. And
you will just start achieving more. It's weird how it all works. And you never think about that stuff when you're getting into it, but it does.
And also on that same subject, I want y'all to think about something from a little bit different perspective. if there's somebody in your life that tells you that they're going to do something and they fail to do it over and over and over, you're going to stop surrounding yourself with that person, right? You're going to stop trusting them. You're going to stop believing them. So your self-confidence and your time that you spend with yourself and the discipline that you build for yourself works in the same exact way. If you make a promise to yourself, like a New Year's resolution or like one of these agreements to start losing weight or to get healthier or quit drinking, whatever it is, every time you keep that promise to yourself, it's going to help you build self-confidence. It's going to help you build that discipline. But just like that person in your life that does something and then doesn't follow through, if you don't follow through with yourself, what you're going to do is you're going to train your mind to understand that the things that you say and the intentions and the goals that you set for yourself aren't what you're going to end up doing, right? And that's something that I've heard Ed Milet talk about a lot, with keeping promises to yourself and agreements to yourself. And that's a very important factor whenever you come into this as well, because there's a lot of people that come into this with the absolute best intentions. But what's the saying? The road to hell is paved with good intentions or something like that.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
It's really something you're going to have to, like you said, go to the gym on the days that you don't want to go to the gym. Get up out of bed and run the miles that you need to run, or get active, or even just go take care of something with work, or spend time on the business you're trying to grow or your personal finances, whatever it is that you're trying to improve on. You have to spend time working on that every single day if you promise yourself that you're going to do that to try to get better, because that's just going to help you build that snowball and get it rolling downhill and just keep everything moving in the positive direction.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for years, I need to do that. I need to do that. I know I need to get in the gym, and I never did, but it kind of gets you, like you're talking about, to where I know I need to, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And you kind of accept it. You kind of accept it that this is your fate.
Yeah.
But you kind of get that way with a lot of other things. I know I should really take care of that project over here on the house or whatever it may be, or for work. And he's like, it just never happens. Or it gets pushed off. It gets pushed off until it gets to a point that you have to do something or whatever. But it, like you say, it carries over into so many other areas in your life, And as far as working out and kind of getting back to what you're talking about too, that, I heard Nick Bear and a few other people talk about, doing hard things. Working out is hard. Eating clean can be hard. But also being 60 pounds overweight and not feeling very good can be hard. It's a hard life. I mean, I was there, and I would rather work out, to me, which doesn't seem hard anymore at all, and feel so much better. I would rather run. I mean, I ran 39 miles this weekend in 2 days, and it was hard, but it felt great. So
yeah, it beats the hell out of the alternative, though.
Absolutely.
Choose your hard, right?
Choose your hard. Yeah, there you go. Choose your hard. So, I mean, it's hard. Life is hard. Choose your hard. You can choose your hard and take control of your life and have a lot better outcome, or you can choose your hard and let life just come to you and you accept what happens to you, and it will definitely be hard.
It will.
You know, whether you can't even get up to get out of the chair, or you can't stand up straight or whatever, and just to go to the store or whatever. I have a lot of friends that are in that boat, so it happens. So
we were both in that boat, right?
Yeah, we were both on a bad path for sure.
For a long time, we decided to make a change, and I know we've talked about a lot of things that seem kind of tough love, and maybe somewhat can be taken in a negative connotation. But one thing I do want to add in here on this as well is, you mentioned earlier you had a good buddy that got you into lifting, and that's a good segue into the last really big point that we want to talk about and make sure we don't forget to hit on this one. And that would be, you got to remember to have fun during this process. You've got to make this a process that is, like we said, sustainable and enjoyable. And that friend that got you into it's a perfect example. Enjoy the things that you do, or find the things that you enjoy and utilize that for a way to improve your life. If you really want to get more active with your children or your grandkids, and you've just been out of shape or overweight or haven't been able to keep up with them or whatever it is, if you want to spend more quality time and just overall have more years with them here on earth, then that's your why. That's your reason for doing it, and that's the way for you to have fun. You can get out and get more active. You can go hiking, go running. You can go work out with them. You can chase them around. And that's going to be something that helps improve your life and move it in a positive direction while still doing something you enjoy. You don't have to kill yourself for hours and hours on the treadmill at a gym, isolated and embarrassed and by yourself. That's not how this has to work. You can find you friends and people that you enjoy to be around that are inspiring and encouraging and motivating. And you can utilize that to jumpstart your progress and get you going the way you want to go. You almost have to, really, honestly, in this space, utilize those things to help you make progress, help sustainability.
You do. It's, it's kind of like you were talking about. You didn't really say it this way, but you like hang around people you want to be like, and that was kind of like my friend. He was like, "Man, I'll show you. If you're serious, I'll show you." And we got into it together, working out, and just man, it just took off. It took off. But you look to people that are doing great things and learn from them.
Absolutely.
And learn from them. Try to how what they're doing can improve your life, and you just try to incorporate those things into what you're doing and learn from them. And then now I've been able to teach some people at the old Westphalia Fitness Center, and I've got some people that are coming and asking me and learning some things about fitness and diet and things like that. So it's been just fantastic to be able to take and learn from a friend and now give back to some other people that are coming in. So the whole thing is to improve your life, to improve your the quality of your life. That's the main thing right there.
Yeah, and with this too, not to put more weight on you that you're looking to make a New Year's resolution and stick to it, or willing to go out and attack one of these programs or plans for getting yourself healthy, but it really is bigger than you in a lot of ways, and you alluded that a little bit there. But just since you and I have gotten into a healthier spot and started doing some things, the shockwave of that and the network of people connected to that have all started to progress their lives in physical fitness or with just diet changes or health kind of in that area of their life has been crazy. It's insane to see how many people we've been able to positively impact. There's so many people that are starting to ultra run and do crazy stuff like that. But even smaller than that, just starting to work out and make better decisions for themselves to live a longer and healthier life that is more conducive. And the reason I said don't let that intimidate you, because that truly is a factor to consider. If we said earlier that the people you hang around matters, the people that hang around you matters just the same, because what you're giving out is the value that you have in this world.
Very true. Very true.
So
that's a great point.
Absolutely. And last thing I'd probably say, just some recommendations for what you can do if you're looking to dive into this. I think 75 Hard's a good one. I think 75 Hard's a really good program for people to dive into. If you don't know what that is, it's 75 days of consecutive no cheat meals, drink a gallon of water a day, 2 workouts, one of which has to be outside. Both of them have to be 45 minutes apiece. Progress picture, read 10 pages of a personal development nonfiction book. And I think that's it. Right.
I think that's it. And the thing I'll say to that is 75 Hard is tough.
It is very challenging.
This is called 75 Hard.
You cannot. Did I say no cheat meals and no alcohol? I didn't say that. No cheat meals and no alcohol as well. So it is very challenging, because if you mess up during that process, you go back to day one. And it is very self-policed, but it's very strict. It's meant to be very, very strict and challenging because it's meant to change your life.
I'll say one thing into there. Don't be afraid to fail.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid. I failed at 75 Hard multiple times before I nailed it. And I failed multiple times at a diet before I finally figured out what works for me. I failed multiple times trying to get into weightlifting before I finally found out the routine that works for me and found my motivation. So don't be afraid to fail. I mean, the greatest athletes in the world, they failed multiple times over and over before they became successful, and they still fail when they're successful. So don't be afraid to fail. Try it. Just do it, So that's about it. I mean, as far as I think don't be afraid to fail. Decide you want to do it for yourself, and set a routine. Get disciplined routine in there and give it a good try. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to give it the old, solid try, and realize that during that process, things are going to get tough. Things are going to come up, whatever. And you're going to have issues, but just keep going back. It's like, how do you react to taking a punch? Do you quit, or do you get back up and keep going? And then that's what a lot of life is. It's what everything is. How you deal with your problems, how you deal with weightlifting, how you deal with running, whatever. It's never going to go to plan.
No.
Like our Colorado trip.
Yeah, falls all apart.
But what are you going to do? Are you just going to go cry in a hotel room, or are you going to just try to hike up a mountain anyway? Just do it, and realize that it's never going to be perfect, and realize that there's going to be ups and downs. But if you stay positive and keep plugging away at it, the trend will be up. It will be positive, and there will be more ups than there will be downs. And I'm talking from experience.
Absolutely. No, and I couldn't have said it any better myself. But guys, on this New Year's resolution, like he said, if you do fail, if you come to a hard point, a rocky spot, push reset, start over, but don't give up. Don't give up. Don't sit in that hotel room crying, like he just said. Get up there and try to climb that mountain. And guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Pops, for being on the show and letting me tag along for the 12-mile run today.
Oh, thanks. Well. Thanks for having me. And hey, I appreciate it. That's going to be some pacing you're going to probably do for me at Rocky Raccoon. So looking forward to that,
Absolutely.
And as y'all are getting started in your programs or whatever, reach out, comment, let us know how it's going. If you get in a dark, low spot, reach out, DM us, say, hey, because we've been there, we've done it. And you can do it.
Absolutely.
You can do it. Set your mind to it and just do it.
Yeah, if you want to reach out, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Next in Line Development on all three of those platforms. We're also at Next in Line Development on YouTube as well. That's where a lot of y'all have watched this podcast. You can comment there. You can shoot us a DM on social media. Don't hesitate to do so. We are happy to help no matter the question. There's no such thing as a dumb question out here. And if you need recommendations, if you need ideas for meal plans, if you need ideas for workout plans, whatever it is, we've been there, and we're always glad to help. But you got anything else for this one, Pops?
If you like what you're hearing, give us a like out there, share, let your friends know, spread the word, and reach out.
Absolutely.
Let us know how we can help you.
And like he said with sharing the show, there's a lot of people that are looking for this kind of content right now, looking to get motivated and start their year off on a good and right foot. So if you could screenshot this, throw it on your Instagram, Facebook story, post it on there. Let people know who is helping you get motivated and help you move this thing in the right direction. But guys, that's all I've got for today. So go ahead and get after it. Knock out those New Year's resolutions, and always be prepared for whatever is next in line.